Will you at some point in your life journey get frustrated? Of course, and that is because frustration is inevitable so long as you do things that require an outcome. Frustration is that feeling we have when things don't work or happen the way we want them to. So many known, unknown, external or internal factors may lead to frustration. Besides, every day is not Christmas, so you do not expect things to always go favorably. Life comes with challenges which have the potential of turning around to a favorable condition later. But while you wait for your expected turnaround, how do you handle your feelings? How do you deal with the emotions that come with those challenges? Let's dive in and see how we can deal with the feeling of frustration. Hello, you're listening to Thrive Soar Podcast. I'm your host, Theodora Nadi. I'm an entrepreneur, a researcher, and of course, a digital content creator. My mission is to help goal and growth-oriented persons like you break your barriers so that we can thrive and soar together. Life is about growing and changing, and you get to see your life evolve positively. If yes, then this is the right space for you. This is the space for you to improve your life and transform your personality. Join me on this journey of becoming the best version of ourselves, and I will support and empower you every step of it so that we can win together. Let's move. When those challenges creep in and that feeling of frustration comes knocking, it is your right to act whichever way you wish to handle it. However, it is important to know when to brace yourself up and deal with it because it can be detrimental to your journey and well-being. Because you're human, it is hard to act immune to the emotions linked to the situations around you. You're human and created to emotionally respond in a certain way in favorable and unfavorable conditions. You have the right to react, but you can also shield it or limit how long you should wallow in that response. It is not like a mandate or a compulsion to shield or place a limit on your emotional feelings about certain conditions. No, it's not. I'm not talking about mandate. I'm not compelling you to. It's more of a necessity. Did I just say necessity? Yes. You must shield or snap out of that feeling of frustration within the shortest seconds. This is to ensure that it doesn't affect your life or hinder your progress. To an extent, I consider emotional responses like frustration to be reflex reactions. You may lack total control over the onset, but the progression is totally within your control. If someone or persons can describe the feeling of frustration and how to deal with it based on experiences, then I would probably be one of them. I've had my fair share of that. As a go-getter, I set goals often, and different pathways and stories lead to the outcomes, whether they are successful or not. There are times when things won't go as planned and boom, the next thing is frustration. However, the difference between then and now is that I couldn't deal with it before, but I can do better now. I can do better. The feeling of frustration used to take a greater part of me for days. It wasn't easy, and I was indirectly hurting myself and wasting my time wallowing in that feeling. Do you know what happened when I started doing better with managing frustration? The reverse became the case. Instead of feeling frustrated, frustration started feeling me. This is hilarious, but don't get confused. All I'm saying is that I learned how to attack it better. I learned how to attack it by being alert to prevent it or ready to control and overcome it if it sets in. Now, I'm telling you about my experience so you will know that I understand what it feels like to be frustrated. It takes someone who knows more about something to share information or knowledge with regards to it. Am I proud of ever feeling frustrated that I'm sharing it? Hell no. Besides, it's not an achievement. But I think overcoming it is an achievement. Whether or not, though, I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about it because it's worth sharing. Who knows, it might inspire you to assure yourself that although the journey may look bumpy, you will continue on it and overcome any opposition that blocks your way. In my opinion, and based on experience, you need either or both of these acts to deal with frustration, you need to put up a preventive or overcoming act to manage the feeling of frustration. So now, let's talk about the first act. We're talking about dealing with frustration here, right? So the first way which you can deal with it, which is to prevent. This act is applicable before the onset of frustration, but because this is a preventive measure towards the feeling of frustration, you need to be alert. Like, it's a preventive measure, so you try as much as you can to prevent it, and by that you have to be as alert as you can. Being alert doesn't necessarily mean you're anticipating it. It doesn't necessarily mean, okay, I'm waiting for frustration to fly in, but it allows you to predict the likelihood of experiencing that feeling and shield yourself before it sets in. Like, when something happens, oh, this is so unfavorable. Okay, I'm not happy, right? There's a difference between being unhappy and being frustrated. So you're not happy, and the next thing that might happen is just, okay, I'm frustrated, I'm in my feelings, I'm crying, I'm sobbing and stuff like that. So if you're alert, you will be able to predict that this is coming, and then you shield yourself before it sets in. So when you sense frustration, how do you shield yourself? Just so you know, these strategies are based on experience. So whatever it is I say is what I've done before, what I've used before, and what has worked for me. So when you sense it, how do you shield yourself? You need to reminisce on the favorable situations you've ever encountered or can remember. Yes, you can't tell me that that there is nothing you're joyful about, or there is nothing you're happy about, or that you've never had any reason to be happy about something. Okay, let's just say there is nothing, you've never had anything to be happy, but you're alive, right? So it's something, but I know there are things that if you check very well, if you search your heart very well, if you search your mind very well, you will definitely remember something. So you need to focus solely on the wins at this moment. You express gratitude and praise God for the strength He has given you so far, so good, the good things and the achievements you can remember and the ones you cannot remember. And then you praise yourself for your efforts, because God is there, and then there is you again. It's a dual thing, right? It's God and it's you. He's going to walk through you. So you praise yourself for your efforts. You praise yourself for not yielding to your barriers, maybe in the past, whenever. You praise yourself for not throwing in the towel in past challenges. Trust me, this is the moment you remember that situations were not always rosy, but you pull through regardless, and you're here. This way, you won't yield to the frustration staring at you, with the hope that the next stage of situation will be more favorable than the present or past. This preventive act is a vital step, and will determine the relevance of whether you will move on to the overcoming act. If you successfully pull this step, there won't be a need for the feeling to progress or the means to overcome it. But now, if you happen to let frustration set in, because most times you tend not to be able to prevent it, right? So if you happen to let it set in, overcoming comes into play. If it comes, it continues to progress. Like, it comes with different effects. It comes with different, like, you have to exert it in different ways. So all you need to do is stop the progression and prevent the effects. And how do you do this? You overcome it. So how do you overcome it? The first strategy is to reframe your mind. I often talk about how your mind can help you overcome your barriers. Like, it's a normal thing for me. Mindset is key to many things. So developing a healthy mindset will be best at this stage. You need to perceive the situation at hand as a temporal one, and that things could turn to your favor sooner than you can imagine. Most times it's not always easy to get yourself to change your perspective, especially if you're new on this. However, you can talk to someone who can understand and help you pull through this feeling. In this case, the second strategy comes into place, like the second way of overcoming frustration comes in. You talk to someone. So in my case those days, talking to someone, either my friend or my mom, was a good option for me. While I had learned how to maintain a healthy mindset in the face of challenges, it was still hard to get rid of the emotions. Not like I wasn't positive, but I continued to react by crying and sobbing, which made me talk to my mom and friend. I would talk to them because they usually understood my plight and knew the right words to use. It's not funny to me. It's now funny, right? Somehow, I knew that situations could turn around to favor me, yet I would sob and tell them that I had every right to vent because I'm human. It wasn't always easy for them to help me get rid of the emotions. Well, we did it. Their soothing voice, the encouraging words over the phone, optimism and positive energy were always helpful. Then and now. I'm so thankful to them. Okay, shout out to them. Dear MVPs, I appreciate you and thank you for being one of my overcoming strategies. Kisses and hugs. Just so you know, even if you do not want to talk about your challenges, being around optimistic people or positive energy when frustration comes knocking will be proper. Yeah, I feel not everybody is as vocal as I am. So the talking to someone strategy may not work for everybody. So all you have to do is surround yourself with people that are optimistic, people that have positive energy. Like at that point in time, you know you're not in your best feeling. I know you might get that desire to, okay, I just want to be on my own, but being on your own is not going to help the situation. If you can talk to someone, find a way and move around or just stay around people, optimistic people. Stay around optimistic people that their energy is as positive as you need, like enough of positive energy that you need to snap out of that feeling. That is what you need. So another thing is, remember, I just want you to know that when you tell your problems, you take a hike. So talking to someone can always do the magic for you. So, and the third strategy is journaling and reading. Okay, towards the last days when I used to overcome frustration, this strategy worked for me. That's journaling and reading. Though I forgot to say that in the beginning, like when I started dealing with frustration, it was more of an overcoming act, but along the line, I perfected the preventive act and stopped overcoming. That's the reason I said towards the last days. Well, if I'm correct, I've used the preventive act for about a year and everything feels better. Back to journaling. I got to a point when I felt like I was bugging my MVPs, so I resorted to reading my journals. I usually write sometimes, so when it got to that, I would read those things I've written in the past, or I hardly write, but I know I read those journals. I hardly write at that, like in that feeling, but I know that I read the ones I've written. Whether I was crying or not, I would read it, and before I finished it, I would feel better. I still read it as a preventive measure, but I use reminiscing on my wins, praise and gratitude more often because it is an immediate remedy. Like, it's a thing of the mind. It involves your mind only. Like, you're just there, you're trying, you're searching your mind, you're doing a lot of things. Everything involves your mind, and it gives a more rapid result. Unlike journaling and reading it could require me to pull out my phone to open my journal or get the hard copy or anything. So this journaling and reading requires more than my mind. So I tend to, as I'm talking about this, when it comes to the preventive aspect of it, like now that I'm more focused on preventing than overcoming, I reminisce and I praise myself and I thank God. And then along the line, I could now move into journaling or reading, just as a way of helping my already existing thoughts. Then the fourth one is treat yourself. Treat yourself with anything that pleases you. In my case, it was a bath and food. These two actions gave me a calming and pleasing effect. Yes, so I indulge in them. I know you're wondering how I managed to eat in the face of challenges. I don't know, but I do it perfectly well, and it's good. Be amidst sober emotions or after, I eat. And I have noticed that treating myself not only works well in favorable condition, but also in unfavorable condition. Some people tend to eat or maybe do anything because they are happy. No, I react to unfavorable and favorable conditions by treating myself to food, anything, ice cream, whatever, so far as it's edible. Yes, it gives me a calming and pleasing effect. So these are the things I do. And then the fifth one is talk to God. Well, this is the first, is the last, and the most important strategy of my life, including preventing and overcoming frustration. Yeah, just pray. I pray. And I'm telling you, just pray. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just talk to God. 1 sentence, 2 sentences, or 3 is enough. You don't have to take certain positions or find a suitable environment to do it. Just say it in your mind. Something like, oh God. Okay, something like, oh God, I know you see and know it all. Always remind me that you are in control and that your plans for me are of good and not of disaster. Amen. This short prayer is my best word in the face of challenges, and I coined it from the word of God in Job 34:21 and Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Yeah, Jeremiah 29 verse 11 is my favorite. It's my favorite verse, right? Favorite Bible quotation. Well, these strategies are what I employed before and now, and they have proven to be effective for me in dealing with frustration. Just so you know, frustration didn't run away from my doorstep. After all, I'm still living and doing things, but I can now deal with it. All thanks to God and the efforts made. At least I do not have to wallow in the effects of frustration. I hope either or all of these strategies work for you too. However, you can always tweak it to suit you and your belief if this doesn't go well with you. Over time, you will find out what works best for you. I want you to remember that you're not alone on this journey, and there was no clear promise that the journey was going to be easy, but there was a promise that that's God, would be with us. You do not need to be perfect, and your actions don't need to be perfect. You just need to put God first, and the remaining part will be easier and better than you ever imagined. I just want us to win together. Thank you for listening to this episode of Thrive Soar Podcast. I want you to remember that we've hoped, we've coped, and we do not just want to survive. We want to reach for the stars. We want to thrive and soar because it is our birthright. We've got this, and God got us. Whether we've become the best version of ourselves or we're still working towards being the best version of ourselves, what matters is that best is the common word here, and we have that word in mind. So join me in a toast to the best version of us. I hope that I've been able to impact your life through this episode. Please be sure to subscribe so that I'll be motivated to join you again. And if you appreciate the show, please give us some stars. Thank you.